Do, 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 do.
We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Happy Halloween. Welcome to
Happy
our
Halloween.
marathon broadcast of all of the complete Fluxus Fest.
Yes! Yay! Hi, everyone. My name is Gray.
I'm Carl. Maya,
And
Maya will be joining us shortly, and that will be our the hosts of this
yeah.
full marathon broadcast. We're gonna dive right into it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out. This has been a really fun month. We're excited to share all the wonderful performances that have happened all of this month with you again. If you enjoy it, why don't you go over to fifthwallperformingarts.com/donate and help us out. We're trying to raise $5,000 by the end of this month, which is today. So yeah. Without further ado, we're gonna start. So bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fluxus Fest. I am Maya Johnson, and I am a member and the general manager of Fifth Wall Performing Arts. This month is our inaugural fundraiser for Fluxus Fest, and if you would like to donate, please go to fifthwallperformingarts.com/donate. And we will start with Emily and Carl, who are our company members.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I usually do my laundry on Sundays, so I have some of it, not all of it. I don't remember where I got this shirt actually, but I like wearing it to sleep, and I wore it to sleep a few times this week, and now I think it's dirty. Is it? How does something come to be dirty? Where's that line? Because I wear this shirt more than once. It's hard to say. Some pieces of clothing you wear more than once, and some you wear once, and then you do one. Like this sock.
Thank you.
When I was younger, I would only wear pants and shirts once, and then I'd wash them. And now I don't do that. Now I'll wear a pair of pants like 4 or 5 times before washing it. And maybe 2 between the sock, only once. But I only wear the sock once.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. This pair of pants is one of the two pairs of pants that I usually wear regularly. The other one I'm wearing right now. I honestly feel like the pair of pants that I'm wearing right now is more dirty than that. These are the ones that I somehow designated dirty. Look here. I don't own a belt, but I probably should because are kind of tricky to size, and it's nice to have a little bit of wiggle.
Thank you.
Elastic would catch on as a solution to this problem, but it's considered informal, so I only wear these to sleep, and I did that for the last week.
Thank you.
These pants are both elastic and a drawstring, and I also wear them to sleep. Last week, I left my clothes in the washer too long before drying them, so they kind of smell weird. I only wear these ones twice.
Thank you.
These are leggings. People wear them in place of pants, but I don't do that. I only wear them.
Thank you.
When things become dirty, it doesn't matter whether they're inside out or not, because no one will see you in them. Do you think a shirt cares if it's inside or not? I wore this shirt yesterday. Now that I'm looking at these pieces of clothing, none of them are especially dirty, but a lot of them have rips in them. Like, for example, this one has a little rip in the arm. And for a while, I kept it in a little crate on my bed with other pieces of ripped clothing. I told myself I'd learn how to sew, but I never did.
Thank you.
Machine. I don't own a needle and thread. I had a sewing kit at one point because I turned 18 and I was like, adults have sewing kits. Adults know how to sew that every now and again. But I don't know. I could use one. Maybe I should get one.
Thank you.
This shirt has a neckline that I really like. This doesn't really fit me because my shoulders are usually too wide for most women's shirts, but this one does. It stretches the neck a little bit, but I feel like the more stretched out it becomes, the more me it becomes. And this way, the clothes that we wear take our shape. I don't think this is especially dirty. Maybe I should wear it again.
Thank you.
The sweater is definitely dirty though. And I know this because I wore it a few times last week. And I left it in the living room. The living room of my house isn't more often than not. And so I put it on a chair, and it just sort of sat on this chair for 2 days. I don't know why that makes me think it's less clean, but I feel like it's less clean than it would have been if it had sat in my room. The tag says "Don't ask why." Don't ask who why. Why what? Anyway.
Thank you.
This shirt has a stain right here. You can't see it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know if I like this shirt or not anymore. I liked it when I got it 2 years ago to thrift store, but
Thank you.
I think it's too strange now. I don't usually wear patterns. I have the same way about this one. I have a shirt with black and white stripes that I wore some on. And it's also a little small for me, and I often feel very constricted when I wear it. Shoulders are being held in place by something.
Thank you.
There's probably a stain on here somewhere that I don't notice. I'm not looking at it now. This is a shirt that I got from a friend. The shirt that I was wearing was too itchy, so she let me towel off and then gave me this shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Thank you.
Also on it. And it says, "Live ugly, fake your own death."
Thank you.
Fake your death, not fake your own death. Yeah, I don't know why a possum is connected to these shirts, but it feels right. Anyway, I only wore it once, so maybe I should wear it again. I got this shirt from the same friend, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I think I'd like it better if I put one. It's made of this athletic fabric, and has sort of a strap that bunches up in the back. And it makes my chest look very small. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not self-conscious about being flat-chested, but
Chicken. Salt. Daffodil. Salt. Penrose. Sea. Clay. Fjord. Turnip. Down. She. Acquire. Flitting. Juice. Scent. Conduit. Coughing. Viscera. Choosing. Land. Become. Agamemnon. Shoelace. Salt. Curls. John. Composers. Alexander. Midnight. Odyssey. Melody. Group. Withdrew. Vienna. Under. Soon. Opera. Left. Down. Shining. Tried. Brush. Christian. Same. Nail drip. Grinder. Boudoir. Lane. Ah. Demand. Inadequate. October. Hard. Died. Absence. America. Myself. Spontaneous. Cars. Sleep. Ditch. Sun. Gun. Waste. Lifetime. And. Dada. Let. Consciousness. Pax. Cassandra. Worthy. Cassandra. Trains. Different. Stack. Eyes. Clamp. Nose. Maintenance. Washing. Type. happiest. Again. Night. Act. Out. Suspect. Through. World. Performed. Works. For. Across. Small. Later. Monica. Nothing. Goddess. Scene. Mayors. Murder. Death. Bread. Dish. Troy. Ordered. 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 Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We hope you've been enjoying uh the our finale to the Fluxus Fest. That was just part 1 of 4. Um yeah. It's a fun time reliving all of this chaos. Carl.
Yes, this was our very first. This was our very first week. We started off with some Fluxus historic classics. Allison Knowles' Proposition Number 2, which instructs you to make a salad, that I performed simultaneously along with Thank You Piece, a piece by in which you say thank you over and over again, and that is one by Peter Frank. And then, meanwhile, our company member Emily went right in with Yoko Ono's historic laundry piece, where you go through your laundry basket and explain to everyone what's in it and why it's dirty and what's going on there. And then we moved right into Gray's original book piece, where they flip open a book and read one word from each book, which was performed simultaneously with our good friend Elliot Cole's original tea break, in which he drinks a cup of tea as slowly as possible. And then we went right into Chris Roundtree, who is the curator of the LA Phil's Fluxus Fest, performing George McUnis's solo for conductor, which he takes a bow for a very long time. You saw him with some Dungeons and Dragons dice and a bunch of other things while he was taking his very long bow. While that was happening, we had Kaylin Leung's Electronic Picnic and De Posauna, which are deconstructions and sculptures and doing all kinds of amazing, wacky things with the trombone.
Nice. Thanks, Carl, for that recap. And just as a reminder, if this is at all intriguing to you, and if you want to help out our teeny tiny little theater company during a global pandemic in which making art and making theater right now is a hard time. If you want to help us out, you can go to fifthperformingarts.com/donate to help us reach our goal of $5,000 by the end of this month, which is today. So thank you so much for your support, etc.
We're gonna dive right into week 2's Fluxus Fest performance. This was from October 10th. Hello, William. You here? Hey, how's it going? How's it going? I saw the pictures from Grut. What was that like? Uh-huh. Nice. Do you don't do you like? Are you gonna have to go there often? Okay. Yeah, it's a cute town. Do you like climb up the hill and everything? I mean, it's what you do. Yeah, there you go. sauna restaurant. Okay, okay. So do you eat Austrian food now? Is that the idea? Chicken schnitzel. Good, good. Oh yeah. So you keep getting to see opera. So okay, what is your favorite? I mean, what's the best opera that you've seen now? I can't. I would like to go see an opera again sometime. That would be nice. Sure. Oh. Uh-huh. Interesting. So, is there like, do you know if there's much of a new music scene in Vienna happening? I remember Pryor always saying that Vienna looks forward bravely and with optimism directly straight back into the past. Um, okay, okay. This was from this, this is from Pryor. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, we can't trust. You can't trust Pryor. Nah, maybe I don't know. He was telling me that he like is feeling uh less knowledgeable and interested in and able to like feeling comfortable doing new music stuff sometimes. I don't know. Well, I mean, he still likes it. He's there's certain things he loves, but um like we didn't get him to do. He almost did the Fluxus Fest, but he was like, I can't. I don't know. He wanted to play Beethoven 5 all on one note, which is fun. So maybe we'll have him do that next year. Hmm. I mean, whoa. I mean, you're in a place to see Strauss. Yeah, live your best Austrian life. Have you like do you like is there like a community or people you've been able to hang out with yet? I don't know what it's like, moving to a country you don't know without uh really speaking too much of the language in a pandemic. Oh yeah, you were mentioning to me about that guy. Oh, okay. Are you in two different German classes? Oh, okay. Right. Nice. Yeah, you gotta hang out with the crew. Um, oh my gosh, the one of the videos, Joey's and Catherine's, is this like silent film noir experience between a keyboard and a violin, and they're taking the kids right now, and it's very dramatic. Oh yeah, yeah. You mentioned that guy. What but you're like feeling a little more comfortable there, feeling better. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wir können Deutsch sprechen. I could use the practice too. well, bald then. We'll do it. We'll do it soon. I mean, it can be better sometimes to practice with someone who's also not as good because then you don't have to worry about like. I mean, there's ups and downs because like. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, was sie spricht, yeah, was ihr spricht. Yeah, see, those questions I don't know, but that was like why talking with Pryor in German sometimes was fun because we were both practicing it, So you start slow, and then I mean you practice slow, you practice fast, just like anything.
Then she said, I am making one small request of you. Do not refuse me. And the king said to her, Ask, my mother, for I will not refuse you. My wife never hinted that she would leave me. Everything that I had touched from grammar school on was successful. I am a physician, licensed to practice in a Western state. I am also an alcoholic.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship. And adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship.
All right, now, the ontological realist approach says we're only interested in reality. We're not interested in unicorns because we don't want to waste our time. We're only interested in those entities which the best established science will acknowledge as existing. Now, the opposite view, I'm calling it here Midas touch epistemology. I will explain what that means in a minute. The opposite view says,
in other words, please be true. You
Says what exists is not something which is objective, which can be gauged by looking at what the best scientists believe in.
Hey, welcome back. That was part 2. And joining us this week, we got Maya Johnson. Hell yeah. And Carl's back as
Hello.
well.
Hi.
Wow. Thank you
Hi,
for
that
joining us
was
for part
week
2. Yeah, it takes
we
2 to make a thing go
had
right.
Peter Littlejohn building a fire. We had Peter Littlejohn building a fire. We had just hanging out the whole time. I called my little brother and just had a phone call. Meanwhile, we had some really dramatic silent film action with Joey Chang and Catherine Lim's sonata for violin and piano. Moving into Luna Lemus Bromley's plant weeds, just giving back to the earth with some weeds. While that happened, Justine Sedke performed this really powerful Alcoholics Anonymous performance piece that they found, but we weren't never able to actually find the name of the composer or who wrote this or when. So it's still a mystery. If there are any sleuths out there that can figure out what this piece was, we would love to know. And then we
if
moved
it's your
off the
piece,
set with Promptus's "What Makes a Lovely Party."
Wow. Thanks, Carl, for that recap. Just as a reminder, as we go into our third part, if this excites you, if any of this madness inspires you to, help a small little new arts org out, you can go to fifthwallperformingarts.com/donate to make a little donation. We're trying to reach our fundraising goal of $5,000 by the end of the month, which is in fact today. Whoa! Yeah.
We're going to dive right back in to week 3. It only gets better from here.
wandering lonely, wandering lonely soul. Wandering soul. Wandering lonely soul. Wandering soul. Wandering lonely soul. Wandering soul. Oh, lovely, lonely soul. Lovely soul. Oh, 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 oh.
I can't wait for the dinner.
I cannot wait for the dinner theater.
sure am excited for the dinner
love
theater.
the dinner theater.
The dinner theater will be an exclamatory experience.
Excitement for the dinner theater.
There's nothing
I sure
want
am
more
excited
than
for the dinner
dinner
theater.
My fate is to attend the dinner theater.
All I'm
Sure
waiting
cannot
is
wait
for the dinner
for
theater
the dinner
to begin.
theater.
I'm dearly fond of the dinner theater.
Similarly, I want the dinner theater.
Therefore, I will attend the dinner theater.
Am I the dinner theater?
Am I the dinner theater?
The dinner theater.
We are the dinner theater.
Who is the dinner theater?
I love the dinner theater.
The dinner theater.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. If you are just joining us, we are Fifth Wall Performing Arts, and we are showing a compilation of the past month of Fluxus events that we've had every Saturday from 3 to 3:30. Thank you for joining us.
That was our week 3 Fluxus extravaganza, starting off with Thomas Cradlefield getting ready, whatever that meant to him, and Jose Rivera Jr.'s Break the Spell vocal effects, lots of glitter, going right into Slap Slap presents a slap slap flapjack breakfast : a dinner theater, which featured flapjacks, dinner theater, all of the wonderful slappy goodness that one would expect from those characters. And then we finished off this set with two simultaneous Fluxus historic screaming pieces. Yoko Ono's voice piece for soprano, which instructs the performer to scream against the wind, against the wall, and against the sky. And then Cassandra Vanalia's feminist interpretation of Danger Music number 17 by Dick Higgins, which reads scream, 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 scream. We'll have her on later this afternoon to talk with us about Fluxus and more. Stay tuned for that Talkback. We had finally Ben Murphy doing beginner exercises for bass, moving that bass around. You saw it. You loved it.
Yeah, and of course, if you've been enjoying what you've been seeing here today and you want to help a teeny tiny brand new, just like right out of the proverbial like primordial ooze of arts organization, then you can donate at fifthwallperformingarts.com/donate. That is in fact fifthwallperformingarts.com/donate.
And now on to our last week of performances.
Bean snow. Bean snow beans. Bean snow beans about themselves. Bean snow themselves. Bean snow beans about themselves. Bean snow.
My name is Hale McLaughlin, and I just finished eating pickles and ice cream.
Non svanskvil kai
conflict
Bean snow. Bean snow beans. Bean snow beans about themselves. Beans know themselves. Beans, snow beans, about themselves. Beans, snow.
Prohibit, cohabitation, prohibit, flag, hibit, habit, proflagration, conflagration. Dictionary, please.
Majority. Sense. Woods. Ton. Fight. Fast.
Bean, snow.
Middle.
Bean, snow, beans.
Effigy.
Bean, snow, beans, about themselves.
Jonathan.
Bean, snow, themselves. Bean, snow, beans, about themselves.
Fog.
Bean, snow.
Immediately. Hope. Images. Wooded. Triangle. Camera. Naked. He. Calm. Emotional. Sense. Dust.
Fly, 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 flame, flame, flagrant, prohibit, prohibit, conflict, unkind, faggot, grey vibration, vibe,
Elaborate.
thought, thought, fly, flame, fly, burn, prohibit, take, act, pro,
However,
flag, grey, grey,
counterpoint.
flagrant, griff, hit, hat,
Wife.
hit,
Wanes. Her. Planning. English. All right. Wind. Love. Trees. One. Reverence. Wanted. Surrounded. Leaving. Angel. Deceasing. Shocks. Three-lettered. Just. Creep. Breach. Punish. Untitled. Scientists. Stow. Good-natured. German. Slow. Chapter. Orgasm.
Okay.
Bean snow. Bean snow beans. Bean snow beans about themselves. Bean snow themselves. Bean snow beans about themselves. Bean snow. Bean snow. Bean snow beans. Bean snow beans about themselves. Beans know themselves. Beans know beans about themselves. Beans know.
Thank you for coming. That's our show. This has been Fifth Wall Performing Arts and our Fluxus Festival. Hello. Thank you all for watching. Thank you so much. We are Fifth Wall Performing Arts, and this has been our Fluxus Festival If you are just joining us, we have just completed our whole month of Fluxus performances every Saturday from 3 to 3:30, and today is our compilation finale. And Carl, will you tell us what we just saw?
Sure. That is the final week's extravaganza, half an hour of 11 Fluxus pieces crammed into that tiny little space. We had Raquel Klein doing Shadow Piece by Miyako Shiomi, simultaneously with Hannah McLaughlin's Crave, in which she ate ice cream and dill pickles that were her pregnancy cravings. And they were joined briefly by a Bean Snow ninja, Corey Smith, who performed Ann Tardis's Bean Snow, which the instructions are to read that text. And it is a wonderful and mysterious text that Corey will be talking about very soon on our live panel. It transitioned right into Hannah and Raquel doing a duet version of Emmett Williams's Gift of Tongues, in which they sing meaningfully in a language made up on the spot. So all you heard there was entirely improvised and was just gorgeous. And then Danielle Mumpower performed her interpretation of Disappearing Music for Face, where you start with a smile and you gradually transition to no smile. And her version included more dancing and interpretation there. We had Ensemble Consensus's wonderful Con Prohib video that was just all kinds of deconstructed goodness. The return of Gray Grant's book piece for a triumphant and sensuous return, which flowed right into James Fitzwong's I Swear This Is Research piece that they performed in virtual reality on a bass, improvising on Super Hot is what they were improvising on. And James is also going to be in our panel and can tell us a little bit more about what that was about. And then we decided to ruin James's improv by blasting Ein Heldenleben from 3 different speakers at the same time, which is our interpretation of Ken Friedman's orchestra that Carlos Duran put together, and Gray and I performed along with him. And we concluded everything with Maya Johnson's mysterious performance of Mandatory Happening, in which they had the choice whether or not to read the instructions of the performance aloud, and that being decided ended the happening. We're going to talk about it all and more on this live panel discussion.
That's right. Coming up next, we have Gray, who will be moderating a panel discussion with Corey, Cassie, and James. Please leave questions in the comment section of Facebook and YouTube, and we will answer them.
Hello, my name is Gray Matter, and I'm running on 4 hours of sleep. I would like to formally welcome our panelists for today, which includes Carl Ronneberg, James Fitzwong, Cassandra Vanalia, and Corey Smith. Hello, everybody. Wow, thanks for coming. We're so happy to have you. Very briefly, I would just like you all to say hello and just I don't know, just make some noise. I guess. How are you all doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
It does appear that Corey is still muted, unfortunately. Hi, I'm James. Thank you for having me.
James is an old friend of mine from our Seattle days, and we both separately got into experimental music and have reconnected teaching at a children's summer music camp in recent years.
Yeah.
But I knew when we were putting this together that they would be perfect. Corey and Cassie, can we test your sound?
Yes,
Say hi.
hello, can you hear me? Check one,
Corey,
check two. Hey.
Cassie?
Hi.
Yay! Yes. Great. All right, cool. So thank you all for coming. I wanted to start off this discussion, whatever this is, with potentially having Carl give us a brief history of Fluxus and how we got from that to here. Carl just very recently wrote a article for New Music Box about Fluxus, which was very good. And I'm sure Carl would have a lot to say on that subject. Carl, take it away.
Thank you. So I got into researching Fluxus through this obscure connection to Radiolab that happened back in the spring, and it turned out that having the chance to cancel our spring version of what this festival was going to be and turn it into the virtual edition that you are watching now was really actually a blessing in disguise, because I got to get so much deeper into the wild and wonderful world that is Fluxus. Fluxus was a 60s and 70s originating movement of conceptual performance art and music that was sort of founded directly in the legacy of John Cage. One of the main styles of work in Fluxus is the event score, and that's a short bit of text that just tells a performer something to do. And it takes sort of the idea of how a composer writes a piece and a performer interprets a performance of the piece into the more, conceptual space of any kind of instruction can be a piece. Anything that, we see, that we're told to do, that we follow instructions, that is a score in its way. So you get classic Fluxus scores like Proposition Number 2, Make a Salad. But you also get really more experimental conceptual scores like Remove Your Spine, Dick Higgins' Danger Music. We had a performance of Dick Higgins' Danger Music 17 that Cassie did a wonderful job of, that she'll be able to talk about in a bit. I think that's mostly what happened in Fluxus. I mean, it was a really cool, diverse global movement happening during the 60s Cold War time, and Fluxus lives, baby.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, it's really fun. I was introduced to Fluxus via Corey Smith, and doing a Fluxus cabaret in the house in which I presently live on Halloween. So it's just, I feel like the tradition of Fluxus is always passed down between your weird friends, and it's a really lovely thing. So I just wanted to ask, and we'll go around. I wanted to ask everybody what their relationship with Fluxus is. Are you new to Fluxus, or have you been participating within it for a while? How did you come about it? Are you just more of a performance artist and you kind of know what it is? Would love to hear all about that. And I kind of want to throw that to James first, because I don't know you as well, and I would like to hear what that's like with you.
Yes. Well, so I think that I call myself a performance artist. I mean, a lot of what I do focuses around bass, but a lot of the time, I'm more interested in the weirder, the wackier, and I think I first really started attaching, being aware of how much Fluxus had influenced those avenues. I took a class my first semester in CalArts 4 years ago, all about Fluxus, and we spent 4 weeks talking about salads. And just before that in Oberlin, and also hanging out with Carl and at Marrowstone, and just kind of having this hunger for the alternative styles of performance, the other ways to inhabit space. They've always been near and dear.
Nice. Cassie, what about you? What is your personal history with Fluxus art?
I feel like I kind of heard about, things in my classes in undergrad, but I didn't really kind of explore too much until actually after I graduated my master's degree. And I had the opportunity. I, was strapped for cash and I didn't have a job, and I just moved back from New York to California. And I remember receiving this email about saying like, join Allison Knowles, how to make a salad, da 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 da. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Not at all. But I signed up for that, and that was probably like in December or early January or something. And then I had actually received an invitation to a nearby college for a doctoral the degree, and they had said that they wanted you to do a 1-hour lecture on on something musical or whatever it was that you knew nothing about. And I was like, why don't I do Fluxus? Because it was kind of the same year that Chris Roundtree had just started his Fluxus festival in LA. And, I saw the watermelon drop, and I'm sure you guys probably saw that like over media and stuff. And he did a really great job at that festival. But yeah, so then I had 1 month to study all things Fluxus and prepare for a lecture, PowerPoint, and do as much as I could. And so I just like ate Fluxus all of December, just like ate it up. And then come like, I think it was like February, March, I got to perform with Allison Knowles live in the Walt Disney Concert Hall, where we made a salad for like, I want to say 200 or 400 people. But it was really probably more thrilling to perform than rather for the audience to watch. I want to say.
Sure.
But that's my experience, and from then I've kind of just done my own side, solo work with it here and there. I've just been, still like kind of intrigued by what Fluxus is. So that's.
Yeah, we had Chris Roundtree actually advise us a little bit in preparing this festival, and he performed solo for conductor the first week, where his back hurt because he took a bow for 10 minutes there.
Oh no!
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Yeah, that looked painful. I could see the exhaustion by the end of that performance that he did. Corey. Tell us about, when did you first discover Fluxus as a young human?
Yeah, I can trace it back to 2012. There was a show at the University of Michigan Museum of Art called Fluxus and the Essential Questions of Life, which just was up for like a couple months, and presented sort of, I think it was like it might have been a traveling show. I don't remember too many of the details, but I do remember going to see it, and there was a man at one point stationed in the corner of the gallery who I approached and who handed me a nickel. He held out two hands and then opened one of them, and it was a nickel. And I was so puzzled by this. And so I kind of hung out in that corner. I was like, I want to see what else he does. And he didn't hand anyone else a nickel. It was completely confounding. It was this it was a sort of mystery that I hadn't experienced as an art attendee, maybe ever. And that nickel, I think, gave me the bug. It's hard. It's like,
give you more than the nickel.
Yeah. Changed my life with that nickel. Wow. It is interesting. I have a unique perspective that I feel really grateful for, which is that I went to music school alongside Gray and Carl, and now I'm in an MFA program. I'm getting an arts degree, a studio art degree. And it's been very interesting to see the difference between how Fluxus is presented in those two contexts, because it is it is a movement that really straddles so many different worlds and doesn't really sit in any of them. And so it's been really like a delight to like the freedom that Fluxus gave me, the freedom that like that nickel gave me is a sort of freedom that I needed and wanted. And then I see like my students now, my like undergraduate art students receive Fluxus and they get completely different lessons out of it. Like they mean different things to people in different circles. And that I think is really like kept me in the zone. I'm like, oh, this is like a very interesting philosophy of art making. I sort of got on a soapbox there. I apologize.
I
it's great.
Respond to that a little bit, which I had I spoke to a Fluxus scholar, Natalie Heron, who helped with some of the curation for the LA Film Festival as well, and she was coming from the art world, and they have a whole different, like, the idea of artists using scores was huge for her. They were like, artists make things and that's what they do. And artists working as composers to make a score or like something that someone can perform was a loss of control that like they didn't know how to deal with. And I think coming from the music side of things, we're like, so use the score, this is what we do. That what makes it hard for musicians to wrap their head around it is that the score doesn't have, the whole point of Fluxus is to perform the score naturally and not performatively.
Yeah, that's really compelling. Yeah, when Corey, when you said something about like Fluxus like exists, it's like it exists in like all these multiple different spaces. This entire time as we've been going through talking about how we found out, it seems like nowadays it's really being like maintained by like academic institutions. Like we all like discovered it through that. I wonder if that means anything, or if we should be concerned about that, or if it's like kind of nifty. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
In the comments for YouTube here, we have Alan Bukoff, who's the active Fluxus artist that we discovered during the course of this festival, writes, Fluxus straddles many different worlds. In response to that, he says that Fluxus straddles more than just art, more creativity than art. It's trying to not even be, it's trying to be more than art in a lot of ways. And that's, you know, being hard to pin down is part of Fluxus, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I at this point I kind of want to go around and ask, do another like round robin, and just like ask everybody, why did you choose what you choose? What was your approach to the thing? If it was a new piece, how was that constructed? If that's uninteresting, what was interesting about it? Was it the act of the performing? You know, if you're interpreting a classic, you know, why that classic? You know, maybe talk about your interpretation of the piece. Yeah, and I think we'll start with James again.
Yeah, so I created a new experience for this festival. I think a lot of sort of Fluxus scores are centered around the experience of the performer, kind of like what sort of thing they have to go through in order to accomplish the score. And also in these days, you see a lot of streaming. You see a lot of people like sharing their experience through live broadcast and like especially in video games in virtual reality. And so I thought about, yeah, what if I contributed a stream of myself playing video games, except that the audience isn't necessarily in on the video games. They're not seeing that throughout the gameplay I'm having to fight off many crystalline red figures as they come at me from different angles. And so that's kind of what I was doing. I was like going around and trying to, in virtual reality, like shoot down these red enemies while also trying to have some sort of continuous not necessarily continuous, but also trying to improvise music. And sometimes I was like shooting from the bow with my controller. I don't know. It was certainly a lot of fun for me to do, and hopefully fun for people to watch.
Yeah. That's okay. So I was having a conversation with Cassie about like how Fluxus interacts with the audience and how we don't really have that same interaction here on the internet. But you really specifically leaned into that, right? Like that's like
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I don't know if you have anything to say about that. I think it's like at the very least, I think it's real nifty. I think that's one of the nice things that like doing a new work of Fluxus specifically here on the space can provide us. In contrast to like bringing back an old work, I guess.
It's kind of like a lot of times it puts the audience in a different position than they're used to, rather than kind of watching something. They are often called to like participate in it or question how they're witnessing it, right? And it's kind of in a lot of ways impossible to do that over the internet. So I was like, well, if they can't see everything, if they can't like walk up and do what I'm doing, then I'm going to do something that they absolutely can't see, But let me tell you, it was really difficult to not be to be dodging bullets and all that.
Were you in your video game?
Yeah. So the video game is a very popular title called Super Hot, and it is a lot of like movement. So it's kind of like a dance piece in that way, unchoreographed, reacting to the score being the game itself, and the setup being like try to complete this within the boundaries of the game.
When being in that game, were you living a hero's life, perhaps?
Fearless?
A hero's life, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in that game, you're very much like able to accomplish things that no human would.
I mean, if that isn't Richard Strauss's dream, except maybe we got to really just blast bits and pieces of it, which is the best way to experience it. I think I wouldn't want it any other way.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Cool. I had so many thoughts about and feelings about how that interacted with Einheld and Laban. It felt like a really bizarre concerto. Like but I just felt so removed from that context. Anyway, Cassie, hi friend. Let's talk about Danger Music number 17. Why now?
Why now?
Maybe why now? You had a really kind of wonderful and specific individual interpretation of the piece. That was from what I understand, was like coming from a personal place. You don't necessarily, have to talk about that, but like, why did you choose Danger Music 17 over like maybe like why that screaming piece specifically, I guess?
Well, I don't know. There was something so theatrical about it, which, as a performer, I love. I'm a trained classical, vocalist, and so us vocalists love to perform for So it just really, I just kind of loved the drama of the piece of just the intensity and like how much it shocks the audience. So I think that's kind of what really drew that to my eyes. I was just kind of honestly going through the Fluxus book online. I forgot what that's called.
It's the workbook.
The workbook.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I was just kind of going through pieces, and I just thought this looks interesting, and then I kind of just Googled on YouTube, and there happened to be a couple performances of it, and I kind of just took it and kind of made it my own, and I, just kind of decided. I said, well, what if I channel this completely different than say some of the other performers that I saw on performing it, and perform it from like kind of more of an angsty sort of space, and kind of morph into that, and kind of like go like very girl interrupted, and start I'm kind of at one point in the video I'm like I started off it seems all boring, I'm putting on makeup, blah blah blah, and I start putting on the lipstick, and then I keep going over the lipstick over and over and over, and then I just like lose it. And so for me it's more, I guess, maybe I probably would have gotten thrown out of Fluxus for doing that. But, because I kind of, put a feminist angle, and they just wanted you to, but I really did try to make it real in that sense of being somebody who, why would I feel these things? And I think that's just the me in me, is that that's why I wanted to do it from that angle, is because I just felt compelled to, and I just fuck it.
When you say you would have been maybe kicked out of Fluxus, I have to say I don't think that's possible. Though George McEunis is famous for attempting to kick people out of Fluxus. I'm trying to find this quote that I think was maybe George Brecht, who said, like, at one point he kicked out almost everyone, and then it doesn't. Fluxus is something that we can claim, anyone can claim, and that's part of it, right?
I like that's that. Nice. Yeah. Since we're on the subject of screaming pieces, Carl, I asked you, I didn't force you, I asked you to do this scream piece. But I really enjoyed your interpretation. It was very different than other interpretations of Yoko Ono's piece for soprano. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I am not a soprano. I'm maybe a baritone with an interesting falsetto at best. But I love the sort of almost like spiritual element to Yoko Ono's piece, where you're screaming against the wind and the wall and the sky. And I have this wonderful roof at the top of my building, and I convinced my twin brother to film me doing this scream. And I tried to just transition and move as slowly as possible between the three states of wind, wall, and sky, to partially because I knew that I had a 10-minute slot, and so that was definitely a constraint that I was thinking about. But I go up to that roof all the time in this quarantine 2020 land for fresh air. I meditate up there. That roof is kind of like, no one else goes up there as far as I can tell. So that roof is kind of my spot, and so I've screamed up there before, and I'll do it again.
Nice. And you also did a lot of other Fluxus works. What was the?
But I accidentally ended up performing every week.
Oh gosh darn. Yeah. I'm trying to think what my favorite Carl performance was. I think it was the Yoko Ono piece. But I also
that had the highest quality.
Yeah, it really did. I also really thoroughly enjoyed you doing Make a Salad, because I only know about it from like the LA. I know the big version, and it was really nice to see an intimate version of Make a Salad.
I mean, yeah, every time you make a salad, you might be performing Alison Knowles' Proposition Number 2. That's what Chris Roundtree told us at one point. And I make salads with my brother as like one of the few foods we both like. I'm vegetarian and he's gluten free, and so there's all kinds of, we don't eat together too much, but we make salads. And so that was a last minute choice for us to step in, and for me to step in and do that on the first week. But in the kitchen with Carl, making a salad was a blast. And I did the thank you piece at the same time, simultaneously, which you'd say thank you a bunch. I was just grateful that we put this together and got to do that as a duet with Emily doing the laundry piece too, which was fun.
I have a tiny little anecdote. The first time I ever intentionally performed the Make a Salad score as part of a class, I had my friend go to the cafeteria and then live stream choosing the salad proponents and components, and then having the class like talk to my friend through a live stream. So it's funny to like kind of come full circle with that too.
Yeah, it was a Meredith Monk email that she said to us that like doing Fluxus pieces egolessly and simply can be a really powerful way to perform them. And so that was my dream with that, and the phone call performance that I did with I just called my brother and caught up with him the following week. That's not being said that Fluxus pieces aren't necessarily super performative, but one way to get into the world of them is through that sort of attempting to just do the action.
Yeah, totally. And kind of on
Can
that.
I chime in?
Oh, go ahead, Cassie.
Cassie, go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just on that, only just because I when I was doing that piece, it was really interesting. Literally a week before I had that lecture audition, I remember one of the professors asked me if I thought, and they didn't know that I was going to perform that piece or anything. They asked me if I thought that performing a huge rendition of that piece in a giant hall like that was the antithesis of what Fluxus was about. And I told them, yes, probably. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still had thought it was fun and great, but because in a way it was so much more extravagant than say doing something like where, what Carl did was probably much more true to the manifesto and, a spirit of Fluxus. And I don't know. I just think that's something like interesting to chew on, and it's something I think about when I perform their works. And
Absolutely. I mean, when Allison Knowles does that salad piece with 100 people, it becomes much less about like just you making a salad and more about like this is communities eating together, bringing people together over food. It turns into a very different kind of political statement, and that's part of the beauty of interpreting Fluxus, right? That we can.
Right. Well, and then Walt Disney is a bourgeois.
Sure.
And there's a lot of money into that, gorgeous building. And as much as I love going there, it is, and they were definitely in that manifesto, definitely against the bourgeoisie, and they weren't about the bougie people.
Was that experience ticketed? Like, did the audience have a pay to participate and make a salad? Do you remember?
No, the audience didn't participate. They just watched several people on stage make the salad, and then we passed. The way that they participated was by eating the salad that we had made on stage.
But they bought tickets to the concert, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was more kind of a performance than necessarily. I don't know. It felt almost more of a performance than it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a very highly theatrical version. I remember seeing photos of salad was being mixed on giant printer's carts on the stage with a concert hall, and just buckets of chopped vegetables were being thrown down. From what I remember seeing from your.
I mean, at the same time, that's kind of the dream of many of the pieces in the Fluxus workbook. It's make a salad in a concert hall, destroy a piano or a violin in a concert hall. I think that happened on the LA festival. They played a piece on a violin and then chucked it on the ground. And there's some really fascinating stuff on the LA Phil. I think in Natalie Herron's or maybe a Chris Roundtree article about like the money that was spent or not spent, and that I mean, this endless conversation can be had about it, which is super fun.
Yeah. That said, though, I do want to move on to Corey, who's been patiently just like hanging out and having really contemplative nods to everything you say.
Corey nodding contemplatively could be offensive.
I had a segue 10 sentences ago about Fluxus and its simplicity and its kind of like plainness, and I think that seems to be almost written into the instructions of Beanstove, if I remember correctly. And you really wanted to perform that, like you were very adamant about Beanstove. So like, can you talk to us about Beanstove and like simplicity or maybe and nuance and all of those wonderful things?
Yeah, of course. I like for those of us tuning in, Bean Snow's instructions before it's to read a poem. Essentially, it says read the text slowly and deliberately using a normal tone of voice, and then 7 lines, most of which the lines are just the words bean and snow in different permutations. And yeah, I think this piece for me is like so much the core of like what I love about this work. Its simplicity, it's straddling the worlds between the visual art world, between the music world, between poetry, between sound and language. But the the prescription that opens the piece, like that sort of like instruction to specifically perform it slowly and deliberately using a normal tone of voice, I think really catches on to what you were saying, Carl, and what Meredith Monk shared of like the sort of egolessness of it. And this is something I genuinely struggle with, thinking through interpretations of Fluxus work. There is a part of me that is maybe that's maybe like a little bit more like uptight or something, that says like, no, we should be doing these things as boring as possible. Like the liberation in this is the fact that like your daily life is the content, and that like so many Fluxus scores are pointing to that, are pointing to the boring, to the ordinary, to the mundane. And so to perform things theatrically is to push the aesthetic into a breaking point. That being said, I don't know if I like that part of me that wants to be so strict about it. Certainly, I think the joy of Fluxus, and another thing that I love about it is it's a view of utopia. It's like it's a moment where you see life and art colliding into one thing, and so all choices are good choices. Like they're like yes, making a salad at Walt Disney Concert Hall is probably not in the spirit of of a downtown loft in New York City, but it works. It still fits, and that is that's sort of the liberatory vision of Fluxus that I see. All of that is pretty intense coming from Bean Snow, which I just love because I love saying it. I like treasure that language of like bean snow beans about themselves. I don't know what that means, but I love the sound of it, and I love saying it.
What do the beans snow?
Beans snow themselves.
That's right.
Sorry, I my headphones died. I've been struggling with the muting and the unmuting. Anyway. Damn. Sorry. Thank you, Corey, for those wonderful words. We had a question by Alan Burkhoff about this kind of counterpoint and juxtaposition that we had going on during Fluxus Fest. We kind of intentionally placed multiple Fluxus works side by side. And I wanted to ask Carl about that because Carl and I designed this festival, so Carl can talk, answer that question for Alan. But also, I wanted to ask our performing artists, how was that for you? Was that annoying? Did it really just like kind of destroy the art for you, or did you find something enlightening in that? Carl, let's start with you.
Sure. I mean, the idea to superimpose Fluxus pieces on top of each other was part of the original conception for this festival that we were going to do live in the spring. We were going to have a performance at Spectrum in Brooklyn and Vertex Coffee in Ann Arbor, where we live streamed both performances to each other simultaneously, with the idea of creating a sort of intermedia space, which is a term coined by Fluxus artist Dick Higgins. And the idea with that originally was we wanted to create sort of connection between the two main locations that Fifth Wall Performing Arts Company members live and work in. And also, for me, one of the things I love about Fluxus when it's happening in the world is counterpoint, where you have like someone doing a thing and you're just sort of observing the world as if it is a series of Fluxus pieces happening around you simultaneously. And then, or in some ways the things that are happening that are maybe you could consider a Fluxus piece. And then Gray and I had a lot of fun curating that kind of counterpoint that we thought we could put together with all of our friends in this just jam-packed half an hour of Fluxus every Saturday. And that's maybe partially as a young millennial, I've got a short attention span and I love chaos. So that was part of the Fluxus is boring sometimes. It's on purposely boring sometimes. That's what it wants you to do. And I, in a live setting, can really get into something in the virtual, really get into something boring and repetitive. But in the virtual space, I wanted some chaos, some moments of serenity, and then just insanity.
Yeah. To Corey, Cassie, James, do either of you have any thoughts and feelings about what we did with your art in that regard?
I loved it. My job was to just be an interrupter, and that was such a beautiful job to have. There is something very I think the reason that I love the juxtaposition that y'all found and the rhythm of it is that it's fun. Is that it felt sort of like playful and undercutting and like constantly like looking at itself and fighting itself. And there's like that spontaneity, that fun feels sort of hard to do in a digital space. And so I really appreciate that. I think that was a huge success of the project, was the silliness of it.
Oh, shucks.
Thanks. Cassie, James, any thoughts? And if not, Maya has things to say.
I pre-recorded my performance, and so I like. But in a way, it still felt as though I was part of the ensemble, even though we were performing two vastly different things. And so that was really nice. Even though I was watching it like after the fact, I was watching myself do these things in collaboration with these people who were actually doing it in real time. And then also like the sort of function of what I was doing was to try to do two things at once as well. So there are a lot of layers to it, and kind of going off what Carl said, in this day and age, where so much is available just on the screen of your computer, it is pretty straightforward. It is pretty normal to be doing multiple things at once. I know probably sometimes the viewers were potentially watching, reading, existing in parallel with a lot of other things in addition to the Fifth Wall Performing Arts Center Fluxus experience.
Sometimes I thought it really worked with particular pieces, and sometimes I didn't think it worked at all. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Give it to us.
What I mean, I didn't watch all the performances because you guys had such a huge amount of things going on, you know.
Sure.
And also, I think part of there is a sort of, you know, disconnect between the virtual and the in real world performance. You know, I really do love the idea of counterpoint, especially for me. I would love that more in a physical space, but of course, you know, we're limited. Got to do what you can, you
Stay
know.
tuned for next year.
And you know, I've kind of seen that done a little bit, like at the Noon to Midnight Festival that the LA Phil does, and they did a similar thing where they were starting one piece and then did another, so that it was kind of interesting. And then you kind of were forced to sort of make a choice: which performance do I want to see? Like, do I stay present for this entire performance, or segregate myself here and then go over here, you know, and see part of that? And I think that those are some interesting questions that you have to. And this, it's almost, I kind of feel like some of the pieces, it was almost like you created a new space, almost a new piece in ways. Like, I think, for instance, if you took the piece that Carl did, because you guys juxtaposed the Yoko Ono voice piece for soprano with Chamber Music 17. And so we had two different screamings happening at the same time. And I kind of felt like, just because I had edited, pre-recorded, and edited my video so much, I spent like 2 hours screaming into a microphone over and over and over. Into my phone, just to make sure, you know, that was going on. And then when I had saw it with Carl, part of me kind of went, well, aw, you know, just because all of these intense moments that I've had were kind of lost because when it was just me. So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is an interesting thing to think. It almost, our piece became one piece versus, you know, like there was this piece and there was this piece. So you kind of almost sometimes, you know, created a new work and less counterpoint. But, you know, that's kind of my spiel on the thing.
Nice. Well, thank you. Before we move on, Maya, would you like to say some words?
Yes. So before we wrap up, we still have some time to take some questions. If you want to leave them on Facebook or YouTube in the comment section, I will post them to our guests. It can be questions about their performances, or questions about Fluxus in general, or Fifth Wall in general. We can talk about things that we have coming up. And yeah, just anything at all, really. So please send us these questions. And again, if you're just joining us, we are doing the post-mortem sort of discussion about Fluxus Fest this month.
Nice. Thank you, Maya. I wanted to bring up kind of what we've been talking around a little bit. This kind of like performing in a virtual space versus like what it is like and how it is different performing Fluxus works and physical. Like, I mean, obviously you perform them in your own physical space, but not with like a physical audience or what have you there. For those of you who, I think all of you have done Fluxus, not virtually, how was this experience different? Yeah. Were there like new things, new discoveries of like trying to do this specific art form on the internet with like the invisible audience?
The like the short answer to that is like the performing didn't feel different, but the moment after felt a ton different. And I think this is true about digital performance in general. Like all of the performances I've done over Zoom in the past 6 months or so have lacked that certain communal energy. And I think that is the thing that feels different to me. Like the content is pretty similar, and the feeling of performing is pretty similar. Especially if you're doing something kind of pedestrian and you're doing it in front of your computer, which like we're all doing every day at every moment right now. But what was lacking was sort of the meat space, eye contact exchange that I think provides a lot of the tension to Fluxus work, right? If I'm working with butter and eggs for a time and that's all I'm doing, and you're watching me, like we're gonna have some weird energies floating back and forth. And so like that energy becomes the meaning of the piece. Whereas here, it seems more it's about the image. It's more about like looking at it and taking it in as a passive viewer. I don't know. I'm talking in circles at this point, but it feels significantly different.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. You have worded what I have been like dancing around in my like unorganized thoughts all month. So yeah.
I'm performing thank you piece in the chat right now. Just 1 second.
There aren't any questions presently, are there, Maya?
I mean, we're right up at 3 hours here, so
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see any questions. I want to say thank you. Yeah, thank you to Alan though for being here with us.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out. Everybody, I don't know if you have like any random last thoughts related or unrelated. If you need to like self-promote a little bit, if you want to give it a little shout out, or if you just whatever, I think this would be a nice time to go around and do that before we head out.
Well, I'll just kind of do that and also kind of piggyback on what Corey was saying, that this has been a really fun experience. And the main difference of performing virtually is like I don't get to hang out with the audience afterwards. And I don't get to know like who is watching a little better. So I'm grateful for this kind of like Q&A and also like getting to know the organizers more. Like this was a really fascinating process, especially since like I've never performed with Fifth Wall Performing Arts before. I've never. I actually also I think this might have been my first virtual, like quarantine performance, and maybe I can't even remember. It's like, but yeah. So it's like sort of trying to find a way to represent myself on screen in a way that like was meaningful, but also about the performance, but also about me and like and then being like present but not present with everybody else was really nice. So thank you.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
I think the red morph suit really works too.
Yeah, you really get to know me for me.
You're a virtual body, Cassie
Corey, Cassie, Carl. just faces
Carl, that was really funny to me.
Check out we're releasing a full, beautifully formatted program that Maya put together that contains the original new Fluxus pieces that we contributed to the literature, as well as the sort of the bios of all the performers, the dates of performance, and is a really beautiful documentation of what we did here. Oh, this version doesn't have the bios, but the bios might be around in a future thing. Stay posted, fifthwallperformingarts.com, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you all so much.
Instagram and Twitter. Our Twitter handle is the Twitter's new. It's fifth_arts. That is fifth_arts is our at fifth_arts. Our Instagram is probably
at Fifth Wall Performing Arts.
I think it's just like at Fifth Wall Performing Arts. Yeah, the Twitter is mainly like really niche shit posting, which is I think the way to go on Twitter. So like, please join us there. Thank you all for joining us. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and let me quickly add, be sure to like wherever you're viewing this, please like it and please share it as well. In addition to following us.
For action. we stand.
And and leave a comment too. Even if you're watching this in the playback, please leave a comment and let us know what happening piece score that you like the most and what you hope to see in the future if you know of any scores that you'd like to see performed.
All right, everybody. This was such a lovely discussion that we've had today. Thank you all for coming. Corey, Cassie, James, Carl, Maya.
Great.
Happy Fluxus Fest. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.